Greg, Golf Sierra Golf Uniform Bravo, serving as net control for the RAYNET-UK weekly activity net. This net meets each Sunday afternoon at 1600 hours local time and is open to all amateur radio operators interested in emergency communications. The primary purpose of the net is to provide the opportunity for members to test equipment, exchange traffic, news, opinions, and information. Additional information and announcements are available on the RAYNET-UK website, which can be found at www.raynet-uk.net. This is a directed net, which means all calls to be made to the net control station, unless you're instructed otherwise, and all RAYNET-UK operators are invited and encouraged to check into the net. When you do check in, please announce your call sign slowly and phonetically, followed by your name, and if you wish to leave the net immediately after checking in, then please call in and out. Otherwise, if you want to leave after subsequent turns, make it very clear you want to check out at that time. After I've heard a few check-ins, I'll pause and review the list. If you're not acknowledged, then please do try again, and I will be calling for any strays who missed their turn at the end of the net. So, as usual, I'll now start taking check-ins in call sign number order, beginning as usual with stations figure 8 in their call sign, so please go ahead now. This is G4 NRC.
G4 NRC, Golf Kilo Lima Charlie. Name's Phil. In and out, please, Greg. Golf 8 Echo Yankee. Name is Mike.
This is Chief for NRC. Try again. This is G4 NRC. G8SDU, would you try again, please? We doubled. G4 NRC, over. G8SDU, nothing heard this time. So we'll move out of the 8s into the 7s. We'll just come back to Bob as we get around the list. Any 7s, please? Any 7s? G4 NRC, over.
7 Alpha Victor Oscar. Good afternoon, Greg.
NRC has got Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar, and the other 7s, please. G4 NRC, over.
Golf 7 November Echo Hotel, Graham.
Yeah, G7 and EH. Good afternoon, Graham. Doubled with you, but copied you. And running the stream, albeit without my face so far. Any other 7s, please? G4 NRC, over. NRC, nothing heard, so G4 NRC, second call for any stations, figure 6 and their call signs, please go ahead. G4 NRC, over.
Golf 6 November Lima X-ray, Georgia North Norfolk. In and out, please.
For NRC's got George, good afternoon to you. Golf 6 November Lima X-ray, who's in and out. We'll move down to 5, stations figure 5 in that call sign, please go ahead. Chief for NRC, over. Nothing heard from the 5 that I know is on the system. So we'll go for 4, stations figure 4 in that call sign, please. Chief for NRC, over.
G4LC, G4KUJ, Trevor in Watford, Kilo Uniform Juliet.
Chief for NRC, it's got Trevor Golf 4 Kilo Uniform Juliet, who's typing vigorously into the log sheet anyway. So good afternoon, Trevor. Any other 4s, please? Chief for NRC, over. Chief for NRC, nothing heard. So stations figure 3 in that call sign, please go ahead. Chief for NRC, over.
Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-ray, Ian.
Chief for NRC, he's got Ian, Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-ray, good afternoon to you. Any other 3s, please? Chief for NRC, over. Chief for NRC, nothing heard, so we'll go to 2, stations figure 2 in that call sign, please go ahead. Chief for NRC, over. NRC got a bit of strangled duck on that one across into Brandmeister, so we'll try again. Any other 3s to call in, please? Chief for NRC, over. Chief for NRC, nothing heard, so station figure 2 in their call signs, including the intermediates. Please go ahead. Chief for NRC, over. For NRC, second and final call. Any stations figure 2 in their call sign, especially the intermediates. Please go ahead, over. NRC, stations figure 1 in their call sign. Please go ahead. Chief for NRC, over. Second call, any stations figure 1 in their call sign. Please go ahead. Chief for NRC, over. Chief for NRC, nothing heard, so we'll go into the zeros and start with the Mike Zero stations of any regional secondary identifier. Please go ahead now. Chief for NRC, over.
Mike 0, Golf Uniform Yankee, and ready to restart server when you are, Greg.
Juliet Uniform Juliet, Mike. In and out, thanks, Greg.
Mike Zero Whiskey X-Ray Golf. Shirley in Cornwall, in and out. Thanks, Greg.
Mike Zero India Tango Mike, Andy, Buster in Cornwall, in and out. Thank you, Greg. G4 and RC. Okay, we've got Mike Zero Golf Uniform Yankee. Good afternoon, Guy. Mike Zero Juliet Uniform Juliet. Mike Zero Whiskey X-Ray Golf. Mike Zero India Tango Mike, all in and out. Good afternoon to you. Any other Mike Zero stations of any regional secondary identifier, please? G4 and RC, over. For an RC, nothing heard, so we'll go for Golf Zero stations of any regional secondary identifier. Please call in now, G4 and RC, over.
Golf Whiskey Zero, Juliet Lima X-Ray Portable. Name is Andy. A very good afternoon to you, Greg, over.
Golf Whiskey Zero, Juliet Lima X-Ray, Portable Golf Zero Delta Uniform Bravo. Good afternoon, direction Golf 4 November Romeo Charlie. Wrong net, 2 hours late. Hello again, Andy. Nice to speak to you for the second time this afternoon. Any other Golf Zero stations of any regional secondary identifier, please? G4 RC, over. For any strays, any UK stations who have not managed to call in on their turn, please call in now. G4 and RC, over.
G3VH President Winchester, good afternoon, Greg. In and out this afternoon at 32 degrees Celsius. Cheers.
G4 and RC returning. Good afternoon, Chris. Golf 3 Victor Echo Hotel, in and out. Thanks for the 32 degrees from Winchester. Track temperature up here in Chester is just shy of 30 degrees. So, yeah, you can see why we've got reduced attendance today a little bit. Okay, any other UK strays, please? G4 and RC, over. For NRC, nothing heard. So, any international liaison stations, to call into the RAYNET UK activity period? Normally, Nord-Sun Band of Norway or Arran in Ireland. G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, second call since that one croaked on the Brandmeister side. Any international liaison stations from Nord-Sun Band of Norway or Arran in Ireland or any other countries? G4 and RC, over. For an RC, nothing heard. Okay, so interested in prospects. We are live streaming again today onto YouTube, but we've managed to accidentally break the link that would show you the video of me working the net from this end, so you're just seeing the dashboard. And currently, probably the dashboard's running a little slow. So we are going to do a Formula 1 tyre change, and Guy is going to reboot the server, which will probably take us down for a minute, and then we will resume the net, and that will hopefully tidy up some of the croaks and packet loss that was also apparent then going across onto the Brandmeister side of the world. So with that in mind, if all stations will now stand by, M0GYG for NRC, go ahead and reboot the server. For the RAYNET-UK DMR server, please, over.
Okay, stand by 1. G4NRC and 0GUY. The server is rebooted.
0GUY. Again, 0GUY, G4NRC. Okay, thanks, Guy. I wasn't running a clock on this. So, thanks for that. We'll see now if the dashboard's more responsive and see if the Brandmeister croaks again. So, live stream we'll have captured just how quickly that managed to get fixed, so thanks, Guy. General talking points are running down the list. We've got weather due to break this week, so are you ready for pluvial flooding? At the same time as we have drought orders and water supplies failing in parts of the country. All the right water, just in all the wrong places. So an emergent risk for the coming 7 days. In terms of activities, many RAYNET groups have been active over the last week, some independent activities. So today, South Wales RAYNET's been doing an NDIS exercise from 11 AM today, and also tried to tie up with the HF team net at 2 o'clock, which had mixed results, which I'll no doubt discuss when we get down to Andy JLX at that time. Also noting that Essex has got a field day today, I think it was, and they're also now running a Pheonix DMR weekly net on TG 842. 23531 would also have been available to them, but Essex is doing an independent net down on Talk Group 842 Pheonix. We'll see what happens with that. But having such independent nets and talk groups available, a question for the general question running down the list is, what would you have done if the server hadn't come back after Guy's reboot? Where do you think we would have reconvened? So, with that leading question, we'll go to the top of the active list, which is Mike, Golf 8, Echo Echo Yankee, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC from G8EY. Oh, good, I get the difficult question first, do I? At the moment, these days, I have no idea what I'd have done had the server not come back. I'd have to have a think about that. Anyway, weather here is 30 centigrade, 17 degrees centigrade overnight, 1006 millibars, 28% relative humidity, 24% cloud cover, although you do tend to get scorched when you go outside, 9-mile-an-hour winds from 73 degrees. According to the weather radar, we're due for 2.8 millimetres per hour of rain around about 5 o'clock Monday. And we've still got lightning and thunderstorm alerts, still got the heat alert, and we're still in drought. And so it was interesting when we got our first Norfolk coast flood alerts, 7:45 this morning, but they seem to have passed without incident. Interesting that despite the fact we've got a drought, and everywhere is parched, there were people setting off fireworks in Norfolk last night. That's a good one. They didn't seem to think that there was any great risk of having incendiary devices flying around the sky over the scorched grass. From G8EY.
Golf 8 Echo Echo Yankee, G4NRC returning. Yeah, that is a little disappointing, and like you shouldn't say some things in control rooms. I'm going to say it's a long time since I've seen any complaints about Chinese lanterns. They seem to have solved that problem. Yeah, we haven't got anybody setting off fireworks around the northwest, as far as I know, anyway. Yeah, that is really bizarre, and more and more companies are actually stopping selling disposable barbecues. So it's one of those is very definitely found at the seat of a field fire, according to the press. So yes, everybody does get a clue and not take any fire risks out with them. Be careful where you cook and things like that would be appreciated, especially if you're on a RAYNET event. Since I do recall somebody in the northwest who should remain nameless who had one of those nice gas cooker rings and set it up on the verge and lit it up, and the thing actually blew up on him, which would not have been fun, but little bits of cooker ring went everywhere. So this is definitely not the weather to be trying that. Okay, and yeah, I'll answer the server question when we get to the end and see what the people say. Bob, are you with us? Hopefully with less packet loss this time. Golf 8 Sierra Delta Uniform, G8 SDU, G4 and RC, over.
G4 NR.
G8 SDU, G4 and RC. Bob, we got 3 seconds of audio from you at 35% packet loss. Not spectacularly readable onto the Brandmeister side. So nothing showed up on Guy's dashboard. I think you must have a local networking issue. All I can guess at the moment. But let's try again, Bob. G8 SDU, G4 and RC, over. G8 SDU, G4 and RC. There we go, onto the Brandmeister side of the bridge again now. Yeah, Bob, lots of packet loss. Didn't get you back, didn't hear anything on the second call. So I think we've still got issues with your station locally. Just running my eyes down, see if anybody else is coming in through Brandmeister. I think Dave is, so we'll see what the link is like, and then that'll push the fault finding out a bit further. Over to you, Dave. Mike 7, Alpha Victor Oscar, G4 and RC, over.
G4 NRC, Mike 7, Alpha Victor Oscar. Good afternoon, Greg. Good afternoon, everyone. Another, as you say, very hot and sweltering day in rural Cheshire, as we can call it. Temperatures here are at home over 30 degrees at the moment, and very, very sticky, shall we say. Tried the HF net this afternoon, but my 40-metre monster struck again, as we say. There is definitely a little 40-metre hole around where I reside here. Never ever had any it. As you said, with G8 SDU, just heard a squeak and then completely disappeared this end, Greg. Back to you, Mike 7, Alpha Victor Oscar.
7 Alpha Victor Oscar, G4 and RC returning. Okay, fine. Well, you verifying that you're on the Brandmeister side of the bridge. So if that's what you heard, then Bob wasn't making it into Brandmeister correctly by the looks of things. And the system just lost a third of his packets. Okay, 40-metre demon for you. Don't know how we cure that. The roof work here extended beyond what was expected, so they're not actually finishing till Monday lunchtime, so I haven't got my big antenna up anymore. I put up a temporary antenna. I wasn't sure if it would fly nicely given the way I routed it, and I've got 2 S-points less noise using a end-fed coaxial off-center fed dipole. Just work with me, it is what it is. 2 S-points less of noise. Was actually able to hear MD JLX from time to time, but didn't hear you, didn't hear M1DDN or many other stations at all significantly, other than Echo India 7 India Golf across an island who chipped in at the back end. So interesting, but the active antenna and the SDR heard even less. which I reckoned was actually a fair equivalent to the loop antenna normally ran. So it's strange today. The net report for the HF net will be interesting to see what conditions really were. Okay, now on to Graham, G7NEH, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC, G7NEH, good afternoon, Greg, and to all on that. Okay, some stats for you. I just lost them. Just bear with me. So last week's net has had 18 views up to now, and this week's net we have 6 online and 11 views in total. I've also, because I didn't realise I could do it, just put a little poll up with the question you've just asked about if the server went off. 2 options. So that may be something we could use to again in the future. I didn't realise I could do that on the live chat, but yeah, there we go. Yeah, not a lot else to add at this end. So unless you want any info off me, don't bring me on the next round, Greg. G4NRC, G7NEH.
G7NEH, G4NRC returning. Yeah, okay, Graham. No, you're adequately fielding whatever's happening in the chat box on YouTube and looking at what's going on with the video in. So yeah, I noted you out on this one. If I get my cunning plans slightly differently sorted out, then you might have 2 cameras to pick on, and we'll bypass the video conferencing service, and you can stream direct from cameras here. I think I figured out how I can do that. You can just pick up streaming video from a couple of lower quality cameras in different perspectives. Might add a little bit to that. And yes, the poll option, I think I've forgotten about as well. Not sure how fudgeable it is, but the polls are just for fun. Okay, thanks for that. Talk to you soon. Next to Trevor, G4KUJ, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC and G4KUJ, yeah, good afternoon, Greg and everybody else. I've been reporting the same, that this only regarding Bob G8SDU. I'm monitoring on the RAYNET server this afternoon, and I've got the Brandmeister link going in the background. Observations on the dashboard, I'm still seeing an anomalous guy in the fact that it doesn't seem to be dynamically updating always, and when the station goes off it can sit there in the pink for quite a long time, and when the next station comes up it doesn't necessarily indicate them with me. But if I do a complete refresh, just a refresh on the page, it all sorts itself out. So I'm not sure if there's something working still in there. QR100, no change in the situation. This week turned out to be quite busy out and about, and also when it was when I had some time to have a look at the Leo MB, it was just far too hot. But with the lower temperatures this week, I might have a chance to get that sorted away a bit. Apart from, what would I do if it didn't come back? As one of the sysops, I would have gone to the team's chat page. Back to you, Greg. G4NRC, G4KUJ.
For KUJ, G4NRC returning. Okay, thank you for that answer. I shall give the right answer at the end of the list, as I promised. You may or may not have heard a clue. So yes, I kind of agree. Dashboard is still not very dynamic for me. It's better than it was. What Guy will want to know from you is what browser you're running. although this is written in a way that all modern browsers should behave, the obvious thing is it mustn't be. So we might be looking for some what browsers in use, just to see if there's any issues with that. Okay, and OK and QO100 still being offline from your location. Again, cooler weather, less hassle at work, more time would all contribute to me being able to put something together one day. We will get there. Right next to Ian, Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray G4 and RC. Over.
G4 NRC and the net, good afternoon. This is G3ZHX. I will continue Trevor's last thought. I'm having much the same problem with the dashboard, and I'm running Firefox on Linux. It'd be interesting to know what Trevor's using. As regards to what would have happened if the server did not come back online, I would have just stayed on the server. I'm connected to it directly. My nearest repeater is Pheonix, and as far as I know, the Pheonix link isn't working. And although I do have a DMR, sorry, not DMR, a Brandmeister login, I don't leave that on because of all the problems we had in the past following stations around as different parts have worked and not worked. So I just stay permanently linked to the Guy's server. And yes, that's it. I can't enter into Graham's voting system because I'm watching the YouTube on my TV and it doesn't have that sort of sophistication. I can actually watch and that's it. But certainly I've got 3 screens going here and they're all telling me much the same thing, including the fact that it's me talking. So it's time I stopped and I will now go standby till the next time. Sorry, I'll rephrase that because it sounds like I'm trying to leave and I'm not. I will go standby now until you call me again later. G3Z8X.
GUI break. Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray G4 and RC. Okay, thanks Ian. Yeah, good point. YouTube on TV doesn't have a lot of the facilities that the normal YouTube does. I found that out myself the hard way. You can't always see chats. I certainly can't respond into chats. So yeah, and contributing to the as we get towards Guy. So you're on Firefox on Linux. I'm on Firefox on Linux at the moment, and Trevor has just typed into the log he's running Edge on Windows 10. And on that note for sympathy, we'll move to Guy. I'm 0GUY, G4 and RC, over. GUY, G4 and RC, over.
G4 and RC and 0GUY. Not sure what happened there. Yeah, just a quickie, just to say, I know what's going on. During the build, it kept a cache of the of some of the things, and those caches didn't reflect the changes I've made. I'm rebuilding now with a forced update, and when I redeploy that, then the browsers should all be fixed. So in a few minutes, I should be ready to redeploy at your leisure. From M0GUI.
0GUY, G4 and RC. That's okay. Always like a solution before we've actually identified what the problem is. Right, we'll do the server reboot after we've completed the net. And we can see how it's responding in slow time. One Formula 1 wheel change in a net is more than enough for testing. But we'll drop down to slightly older technology, and Andy, GW0JLX Portable, who was on the HF earlier, who, Andy, I could hear you with QSB, so better on this end-fed off-center fed coaxial dipole, which was only at about 4 meters above ground level. given it's a temporary lash up, bit of an inverted L as well. So it defeated being tuned up by the in-rig tuner. I had to find a manual tuner, so I was a little bit late. But did hear you in the end, but QSB was quite apparent as well. So I gather you worked some of the Zone 8 stations. GW0, JLX Portable, G4 and RC, over.
GW0JLX Portable. Hello, Greg. Yes, well, an interesting HF net, I must admit. It was both full of QSB, and it was also full of QR Nancy from the lightning storms going on south of France and all over Germany that I had a quick look at. And they were very evident, and in fact they were wiping out most of the communications from most of the stations most of the time. So the randomness of the noise was quite a problem for us on 40. I could only just about hear the guys over in Cardiff, which is very, very unusual. I don't know whether the band had gone long or what, but it was not playing nicely. We could just about make out my own guys here in Pembrokeshire, and I could hear Mike 1 Delta November, who was only a QRP portable station, remarkably well at 5152 by comparison. So figure that one out. In fact, he was probably a smidgen stronger than you were. The EI station that came in, of course, cracking good signal. M1BNH who came in, yep, absolutely cracking good signal. And then a couple of my own guys came in at the end. And then lastly, just after we closed the net and I had just about ready to QSY, M0RSP called in and reported 5859. So all in all, it was anything but a disaster, but it was very, very fractured compared to some of our previous HF nets. Back to you, over.
W0JLX Portable, G4 and RC returning. Well, at least you anchored the net and provided some links. So yeah, I only heard a fraction of some of the stations calling in. John Echo India 7 India Golf pinged me on Slack, because what happens through all nets seemingly is people on various social media start pinging you through the middle of the net. He was running 500 watts because he felt like his linear needed a bit of an exercise. So not quite sure what the Irish license is, but anyway, he was running some power. So he was the loudest, but only a very short overheard from him. Mike, normally heard as Mike 1 Delta November, but he's up on holiday in Scotland at the moment, so very much a compromise antenna, and QRP said he worked you well, but I couldn't hear you well at all, and definitely didn't hear Mike. And Dave M7AVO was listening through the normally wondrous Hack Green SDR, which equally had problems hearing everybody. So yeah, the post-match report for this will be interesting to write up when I pull the data down from the Chiltern Iola Sound. Maybe we should just figure out when Zone 8 does NVIS tests and say don't try using HF on that day. Maybe they're the ones that jinxed it this time round. Okay, we'll hit into the second round. Good feedback on the question of what would you have done if the server hadn't come back. It's all opinion, there is no right answer. But I do have a second radio here and a second hotspot, which is left on Pheonix, left on Brandmeister. So in the event of me having a problem, as we've had in the past on the RAYNET-UK server going through, then I literally change radios and hotspots. The only commonality I've got left is the broadband backhaul from here, and I switched to Brandmeister network. And if our server had gone down, then coming back to Brandmeister 23531 with its occasional gateway to Pheonix 23531 would have been my fallback. And if I'd only got one server available, one hotspot available, it is still strictly just a case of dialing up 23531 rather than 50 23531 to hack through into Brandmeister if you're set up in the conventional way. So that's where I would have gone. We keep two networks, at least for a reason, until we get resilience to the RAYNET-UK servers. Then hopefully we wouldn't even notice a Formula 1 style wheel change. Things would just be fixed and rerouted accordingly. Guy will kick me and correct me for that later on, but I've got several stations till I get there. Okay, back to the top of the list for any final comments, and then we can all go find a long, cool drink. Golf 8 Echo Echo Yankee, back to you, Mike G for an RC.
G4NRC from G8EY. Yeah, that's why I've got two radios, and I can go down one channel that takes me back to 2531. I can't remember the number. 23531. Get new teeth next year. Yep, obviously, you have to have a backup somewhere. I'm not surprised about problems on 40 metres. Currently, I've been watching the storms over Northern Ireland, North Wales, and the rest of Scotland. So, yeah, I'm not surprised we haven't heard anything from Ireland. Bob was coming up to 42% packet loss here. I mean, I'm looking at the RAYNET DMR server desktop. And one thing to remember, of course, there is another way of getting good field fires going. When you drive somewhere, then drive and park off-road. Unfortunately, catalytic converters and exhausts have a habit of setting fire to grass, especially if it's dry and reasonably long. So I'll say good afternoon from G8EAY and take care. Good afternoon all.
Echo Yankee G4RC, having put a smile on your net controller. Yes, there's a video I've seen this week. I wonder if it's the same one that triggered you. It was from a German field fire, and the fire service were there doing their thing, and a German police car, BMW naturally, drove onto the field, chatted to the firemen, and then pulled away. And as he pulled away, he left a smoking fire where he had just been parked up talking to them. Exactly that cause. The very hot cat converter, setting fire to the stubble of the straw and hay and grass and everything else that was on the field that hadn't burnt yet, started burning when a BMW parked on top of it. So it is an entertaining little video, especially when it's not our country. But it has happened here. So, yeah, fair point. Another one to bear in mind when we go out on events. Okay, we'll have another go for Bob, because I think a miracle usually occurs on other weeks where the last call is always a charm. G8SDU, over to you, Bob. G4NRC, over.
G4NRC from G8SDU. Are you getting me this time?
SDU, G4NRC. G8SDU, G4NRC. Yes, yes, loud and clear, over.
From G8SDU. Oh, I don't know what's going on. I'm now having to run a couple of watts to my local hotspot, which is only about 25 feet away. Something must be causing interference on the particularly when it's receiving. I'm sitting in the garden with a handheld, so I'm not that far away from it. I thought 1 watt should be inadequate. Yeah, I was like Michael. I'm sitting here roasting in the garden. It's been up to nearly 32 degrees C. There's a little bit of a breeze blowing at the moment, so it's getting a little bit more pleasant. And very light, wispy cloud up there. I don't know about rain. I think the forecast was for tonight, but I can't see it happening. No sign of it coming in. I don't know if that's like your part of the country, Craig, because you're a lot further west than us. Apart from that, if the server goes down, yeah, like Michael, I could change channels, channel 1 or channel 3. Try the alternative talk group, see if that works. Oh, flatter. Apart from that, I've got a nice rose bush in front of me with a lot of red flowers and some white ones on it. Most peculiar. Everything in the garden's looking lovely otherwise. G4NRC, G at SDU. I hope you got that all this time.
G8SCU, G4NRC returning. Yeah, nice long over, Bob, and no packet loss and no bit error rate. So it looks like you're on frequency, because I was going to suggest, have you checked recently whether your hotspot is still actually on frequency by doing the little calibration test, because I think we have had that on previous nets where somebody reported their hotspot had taken a bit of a wander off and needed quite a large correction factor putting in. But no, that was 99.5 seconds of perfect audio, including you tempting the host band gods by saying how wonderful the roses were. So yeah, a 1 watt, however, to get into the hotspot seems excessive. 2 watts even seems excessive. Should be able to run a lot less than that, remembering the hotspot only puts 10 milliwatts out. So yeah, maybe a little look around for something, doing some desensing in the area to check what your hotspot frequency is, things like that. But prove my point, third time's a charm. We always get it right by the last one of the net. Okay, thanks for persevering. At least we know more power will work for the moment, but I think you've got a insidious problem there needs beating out. So 7-3 to you, next today for a final. Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC, Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar. Yep, not a great deal to add, this and Greg. As you say, if the server went down, whether the fusion end, I haven't tried it for a bit, is working yet. Well, that's another option. I'm not sure. I know Gary was working on that when he had time. But yeah, I'd say you could possibly change to reconfigure the hotspots. It tends to go to through the Pheonix rather than Brandmeister. I don't know how big a job that is. But other than that, I'd say nothing further to add. Thank you for taking the net, and hopefully catch up with you next Saturday the 20th for our local net. I believe we'll be on 4 meters. Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar listening out.
Alpha Victor Oscar, G4NRC returning. Yes, Dave, in reverse order. West Cheshire RAYNET Group Net is indeed on 4 meters on the 10th.
Echo 0 Tango Golf Echo Southwest Hunter.
G4NRC, let's try something different. Something seems to go a bit awry there. G4KUJ, still with me? G4NRC in the net, over.
2 Echo 0 Tango Golf Echo.
2 Echo 0 Tango Golf Echo, G4NRC, standby 1, G4KUJ, G4NRC, go ahead, over.
Okay, let's just try. Yeah, okay, I'm in this time. Yeah, okay, Greg. Yes, your last transmission, but one, you came back, and then there was the squawky noise, and then you just disappeared. And then Toby TG popped up on, I think, via no, through direct, yes, through Brandmeister. Okay, not much to add really. Yeah, my other backup, of course, if the server goes down, is that I always have the Brandmeister system running as well. So I've got Brandmeister and the RAYNET server both running independently. The only common factor being the internet access. If that should go down, I can log it onto a phone or a Wi-Fi or what have you. Nothing further. Back to you, and I'll keep it until the end. From G4KJ.
G4KUJ, G4NRC returning. Okay, thanks for that. Yes, it gets into a bit of a race condition that if that happens, then anything that happens on the Brandmeister side has the potential for locking people out or splitting the net. So that's why I make the point of calling for any strays as we're doing the check-ins at the net back at 4 o'clock when we started. Okay, we'll bring Toby in now, and then I think we can have the last word at that rate. So it just makes us 1, 2, 3 stations to go, and he'll still get to 2 goes. 2 Echo 0, Tango Golf Echo, go ahead. G4NRC, over.
G4NRC, 2 Echo 0, Tango Golf Echo. I think that's all as well. Hope you're radio here. I just want to make sure that it's working fine.
Echo 0, Tango Golf Echo, G4NRC. Sadly, Toby, that transmission was broken into many chunks with a chunk of packet loss in there as well. So got call sign, initial introduction, and then you were hoping all was well with the radio. Not much in between, except hitting 30% packet loss. So not sure whether you're sat on top of your hotspot, a bit too far away from it, but you can report when we come back to it at the end whether or not you're hearing us all intact. Can't see you are calling in via Brandmeister. Yeah, very broken, Toby. Not spectacularly readable at this time. We'll carry on down the list and come to you, say, in 1, 2, 3. You'll be station number 4 on this list. And next to Ian for a final. Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray, G4NRC, over.
Golf 4 NRC, G3ZHX and the group. Yes, I don't have a lot to add at this point, other than, as Graham has dropped out, if anybody's interested, his poll had 4 responses, 2 of which said gone to another talk group or mode, and the other 2 said just turned off. And that, I think, is going to be enough from me for this week, and hope to hear you all next week from G3. Oh, and thanks to Guy as well for the work he's doing to keep the server going. And thank you for running the net, and G3ZHX, standing by and monitoring.
G3ZHX, G4NRC. Okay, yeah, he's still there. WhatsApp me the results at some point later. Interesting responses, given we didn't do a very scientific poll, like figuring out what people should and shouldn't say and steering them away from the bad stuff. Gone to another talk group, yeah, it's just turned off. It's the kind of thing you worry about if you're out on an event, especially if you've got loads of outstations. If somebody decides it's not working, just turns off and goes home, we then start looking around for our missing member, wondering what's gone wrong. So, yeah, interesting. Well, this is just a scheduled for testing after all. Okay, thanks a lot, Ian. Talk to you soon. Next to Guy, Mike 0, Golf Uniform Yankee, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC then, 0 GUI. Yep, so, what would I do if the server fails? Well, apart from anything else, panic.
and see what I can do to fix it. The other day, the other week, there was an issue with it, and I was in the middle of Birmingham University watching the hockey. Actually, it was hockey or athletics, and all I had was my mobile phone. But fortunately, with copious uses of a VPN on the phone and rotating it around, I was able to connect back into the server here and fix the issue. So things are possible. But failing that, I do always have a simplex hotspot that's permanently nailed to Brandmeister 23531. So either on my mobile rig here or on a handheld, I would just switch to the other hotspot and try and pick up the Brandmeister side or any other talk group to see if service can be restored. But invariably, yeah, I would probably be doing stuff in the rack here to try and restore the services. It tends to be I break it when I update something on it, which is what happened today, and so my apologies. I have been noticing that sometimes the last word doesn't always capture people's activity, and so I was just trying to put a fix in, but I managed to break it worse than it was previously, so my apologies for that. So I've compiled a new fix that will go in as soon as the net's closed. I'll just restart the server, and hopefully that will address it. If you then just refresh the browser, that will load the new change, and normality should be restored. What else to add? Yes, it's hotter than what's it here. My fans on my servers are going 90 to the dozen to try and keep cool. Got the garage door cracked open a fraction to try and get some airflow through as well. And I'm looking forward to some nice cool rain and some storms to bring the temperature back down to a reasonable level again. And with that, I shall say thank you very much for running the nets, Greg, and everybody else, 73s, and I will catch you later on. From Mike Zero, Golf Uniform Yankee. Goodbye.
Mike Zero, Golf Uniform Yankee, G4NRC returning. Yeah, I knew the question had a slightly different significance for you, because you'd be more in there with bits flying everywhere with how do we get this right. So yeah, got the same fallback arrangements, etc. here. Thinking about home servers and server racks and increasing energy costs, I noted one of the, I think he was a Swedish home labber, the guys who build server racks for fun, just to run things, even though it's not even their day job. But the implication was they were up to $1 a kilowatt hour for electricity pricing at times. Across in Sweden, which seemed very excessive and was something I was going to investigate. But in this weather, it's not just the energy price, it's the waste heat you've got to dump that's as much of the problem for the server rooms. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting summer if we carry on like this. Okay, thanks, guys. Well, I'll give you the go-ahead when we've cleared the net, and you may as well hit reboot at that time, and we'll get the fix applied while everybody's still listening. So 73s to you. Final from Andy, please. GW0JLX portable, G4NRC, over.
GW0JLX portable. Well, two-part answer to the question. Part one is, if I'm out on an event, I think I'll probably just switch off, because there's absolutely nothing I can do about it. Part two to the answer is, if I'm at home, I've got access to both of the hotspots, and I can just go and get the other hotspot running on its particular internet dongle, and I suspect that I would do exactly the same as somebody mentioned before, and give that a try, see what happened. So there we are. That's my 2 penny worth. Thanks for running the net, as always, Greg. 73 guys, have a good weekend, or what's left of it. I'm just going to take this lot down. It's 32 degrees here at the moment. It's getting humid, I can feel it. And I am really looking forward to a nice cold beer when I get home. All the very best. Catch up with you next week. GW0JLX portable, off and clear. Cheers.
NRC returning. Yeah, G4 NRC, quite a bit of satellite there, trying to get through to the Brandmeister link as well. Yeah, Andy, fair point, nuanced answer. Maybe Guy and I have been made aware by somebody, of course, last week that some of the setup videos are a little bit out of sync with reality now, since Guy's changed the way the dashboard appears and the menus are built. So it might be something we think about just putting in the get you going instructions and the help about keeping resilient connections within your Pi stars, if possible. So it's an easy switch from one network to another, just to see where the problem is occurring. Otherwise, yeah, get it. And yes, antennas down. Interestingly, you comment about lightning storm. I didn't hear any static crashes up here in Cheshire. It was, at the moment it's hot. It's blue sky, but there is a lot of high cloud up there. Wispy stuff, but no static crashes were heard on HF or visible. What I did have was a warbling carrier, which I'd always thought was internal to one of the radios, local to the antenna, which was actually coming through on both the main one for the 7300 for the main set and the SDR. So was an interesting twist for that. Okay, 73s, have a safe collapse of the equipment, and we'll talk to you next week, and we'll have a different antenna up, which will hopefully do 5 megs as well. Okay, final and second attempt for Toby, 2 Echo 0 Tango Golf Echo. See if we get a full over out of you, Toby. G4 and RC to 2 Echo 0 Tango Golf Echo. Two Echo 0 Tango Golf Echo G4 and RC calling you. You might have been blocked by a blip up on one side of the bridge, the other. Try again, Toby, over. Okay, we'll do a third and final call, and I'll get us back to the point about if somebody just turns off, how much do you worry? 2 Echo 0 Tango Golf Echo 2E0 TGE G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, nothing heard from Toby. So, apologies, can't hear him. No doubt if anybody hears him through the week, just see if we're getting clear overs as he connects through the system. How did he come in from Brandmeister? Any latent hotspot issues? Okay, I'll close that formally, then Guy can push the button on a reboot, and we'll have a server back in the dashboard that is hopefully reactive. And, people were actually around to hear the announcements, so thanks everyone for taking time out of your schedules on this very hot afternoon to participate in the nets today. Be careful, have a good week, don't get too wet if you're in a potential rain or flood area, and until next Sunday afternoon at 1600 hours local time, I'll close the RAYNET-UK weekly activity net and return the net to an open net rather than a directed net. 730 all, this is G4 NRC now closing and reverting to my normal call sign, Golf 0 Delta Uniform Bravo. All stations, be advised, the RAYNET-UK server is now going